Ukraine's ongoing operation in Russia's Kursk Oblast, a bold incursion launched nearly 3 weeks ago that surprised Moscow and the world alike, has already yielded some tangible military and political results, while also raising hopes for a sooner end to Russia's full-scale invasion. Ukraine's rapid advance into Kursk Oblast and Russia's lack of a robust response has exposed Moscow's weaknesses, serving as a reminder that even Russia's vast resources are not limitless and undefeatable. In dramatic footage, Ukrainian fighters managed to ambush 2 Russian BMP-2 infantry fighting vehicles on the front lines. The video begins with 2 Russian BMP-2s advancing in an attempt to storm Ukrainian positions, preparing to land troops. Then Ukrainian troops fire Javelin missiles and bombs. The explosions rock the Russian armored vehicles, instantly disabling them. The line of combat vehicles is seen to stop, and Ukrainian artillery is deployed. Accurate hits not only hit the vehicles, but also the Russian troop concentration. Then FPV drones follow, finishing off those who survived the artillery barrage. While a range of Ukrainian weapons has led to the demise of Russian tank fleets, the Javelin has stood out as the real tank killer. When Putin sent in the tanks, the Russian advance was costly on all fronts. The Ukrainians have claimed more than 230 tanks and armored vehicles destroyed thus far, although it should be noted that they have other anti-tank weapons that may have contributed to that statistic as well. In a new video shared online, Ukrainian forces have successfully ambushed and destroyed a large Russian armored column on the battlefield. The drone footage shows a Russian armored convoy, which includes 2 BMP infantry fighting vehicles, 5 BTR armored personnel carriers, and 1 T-72 tank, advancing toward Ukrainian positions in the front line. As the convoy moved forward, it entered the range of Ukrainian artillery. The Ukrainian forces immediately delivered the first strikes, strategically targeting the lead armored vehicles and bombs. The artillery fire inflicted heavy damage on the convoy, effectively stopping it in its tracks. Following the artillery barrage, Ukrainian forces deployed FPV drones to complete. The drones precisely targeted and finished off the Russian armored vehicles and a group of Russian troops who had attempted to take cover in nearby trenches. The footage concludes with the destroyed Russian equipment and the devastation left behind by the Ukrainian attack. Low-cost first-person view drones are proving increasingly capable of striking larger platforms. The sky over the Ukraine battlefield is now teeming with fast-flying FPVs hunting much larger prey. In new cases on the battlefield, the footage shows Ukrainian FPV drone targeting Russian tanks and armored vehicles. One after another, Russian tanks explode under drone strikes. Even vehicles with enhanced cage protection were unable to withstand the Ukrainian FPV drone. FPV drones equipped with powerful warheads easily penetrated their armor and disabled them one after another. Flames billowed into the air after being hit by the FPV drone. To combat the threat from FPV drones on Ukraine's battlefield, Russian tanks began being fitted with cages and then all-covering boxes, culminating in the Turtle tank. The counter-drone electronic systems installed on Russian equipment were not effective enough to prevent these strikes. Meanwhile, Ukraine's resistance to Russia's invasion keeps crossing President Vladimir Putin's red lines. Kyiv's lightning incursion into Kursk in western Russia this month slashed through the reddest line of all, a direct ground assault on Russia. Yet Putin's response has so far been strikingly passive and muted, in sharp contrast to his rhetoric earlier in the war. Ukraine's Kursk incursion proved the Russians are bluffing, said Oleksandr Danilyuk, a former Ukrainian intelligence and defense official, now an associate fellow with the Royal United Services Institute, a think tank in London. It shuts down all of the voices of the pseudo-experts, the anti-escalation guys. The attack was risky, he continued, but it sent a very powerful signal and helped us change the narrative about Ukraine, that it is not able to win, and on the Russian red lines. Both narratives have been destroyed. Besides, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has celebrated Kiev's first strike with its new drone missile, Palyanitsia. The long-range weapon, which was developed within 18 months, has around 24 Russian military airfields within its strike range. It was used for the first time on Saturday, when it struck an enemy military facility in the temporarily occupied territory, Minister of Strategic Industries Oleksandr Kamyshin said in a Telegram post. Zelensky wrote on social media the next day, "In the 2.5 years of full-scale war, Russia has launched about 10,000 missiles of various types and more than 33,000 glide bombs at Ukraine. Stopping attacks on our cities can be achieved by targeting the carriers of this weaponry, Russian aircraft stationed at military airfields.